Hey guys, Misery here, back with another CZM video, and today we're going to be discussing whether you should be pulling for Narja or Gaya. I have been seeing a lot of people around asking this question, whether they think Narja is worth it or not. So in this video today, I'm going to be explaining what I personally think of Narja and Gaya myself, and whether or not you should pull for them. So starting off with Narja is a defense-based scaling unit, and you want to stack a ton of defense on her. So she is similar to Khalipe, Magna, Amir, units like that if you're familiar with those units. But the good thing about Narja is that she can basically fill any role on a team. She can be a healer, she can be a support slash buffer, she can be a DPS. So she basically can do everything, which is why so many people are having a rough time building her and finding out like what the best epiphanies and builds are on her, because she can fit into any team. Of course, she excels in teams with like, Amir, Khalipe, Magna that are defense based, but she can be used in quite literally any team, and she makes any DPS instantly better. So what I personally think is that if you have the pulls and you really like Narja, I think she is a solid investment. She is a really good unit. She is not by any means even close to Sereniel, and I think that's why a lot of people, are maybe calling her mid or not as good, because, Narja doesn't live up to as good as Sereniel, and it's hard to maintain that hype and how good of a unit Sereniel was from the previous banner onto the next banner and the next unit. But yeah, Narja is really good, really solid, really good sustain, sub DPS, one of the most versatile characters in the game. Not to mention, with how many unique cards she has, she is great for deck farming. She's the best in the game, on par with Veronica, because she has her mealtime unique card here, and then if we go to the bottomless hunger, we have one unique card here, and then onto her next card, voluntary control, she also has 2 uniques here, so that's a total of 4 unique cards. But yeah, if you want to pull for her, I think it's a good option. If you don't and you want to save for maybe 9 or Tiphera, I think that's totally reasonable too. Me personally, I'm going to be pulling for every unit on every banner from here on out, because I just got into the content creator program and they give a ton of gems to their content creators, so I should be able to pull every unit at least once E0 on their banner, so I can make you guys content. But Narja, her whole kit revolves around these veracity and predation stacks. So what veracity does is that when you hit with an attack card, if you're below 50% HP, you will get a heal. But if you're above 50% HP, you get a damage buff on that specific attack card you used. And it can be for anyone, not just Narja. So she buffs attack cards of anyone on your team, which is how she instantly makes any DPS already better. And then if we go to predation stacks, so predation is just a better version of veracity. It states here F in veracity state plus 80% damage amount dealt by attack cards. So you can gain predation while having no veracity, but you need a veracity stack, at least 1, for it to consume predation. Otherwise, predation won't be consumed if you have no veracity stacks. A comment on my previous Narja guide video said that it converts them, which is not true. It actually doesn't convert them, but predation does require at least 1 veracity for it to consume. So yeah, predation is just a better version of the veracity stacks, and that's mainly how her entire kit works. If we go to her Shackles of Hunger, this defense-based damage, this actually scales off of attack too, not just defense, which I know a lot of people are confusing. In my previous video, I said that it's okay to stack attack after defense, crit chance, and crit damage, and I was mainly talking about substats, not main stats. Of course, you want to go defense percent on main stat if you can. I just went double attack percent mains on my Narja because I don't have any good DPS defense percent mains, so I just ended up throwing my DPS set on her that I use on like Sereniel or K-Run to showcase that Narja can still do damage if you stop at the 300 defense threshold. But yeah, Narja is a really dupe friendly unit. She does not require any dupes, and her dupes really aren't that good, so I would not recommend pulling for her dupes unless you just really love Narja. But if you are going to pull for dupes, I would recommend stopping at E2, E4, and E6. Preferably E2 and E4 first, unless you're a whale and you want E6. But yeah, her dupes, this first one just gives you a little extra damage buffing. This second one is probably one of the better ones, because when veracity decreases, has 25% chance to gain 1 veracity, netting you neutral veracity without having to consume 1 veracity but still getting the stack and the buff from it. E3 is just a little extra damage buffing, giving more predation on the ego skill, and like I said before, the predation is the buffed up veracity stack. E4 is just extra damage amount to predation, so extra damage. E5 is the same as everyone else's, and E6 is at the end of the turn, deal 50% defense based damage to random enemies and heal 1% health for each predation decrease this turn. So up on on the screen right now, I'm going to show a clip of what this actually does and how it looks. It's pretty strong and it can do a lot of damage, but would I recommend pulling for E6? No, not unless you love Narja or you're just a whale or whatever the circumstances. It's good, but I would save my pulls for a future unit like 9 or Tiphera. And I think that's all you mainly need to know about Narja. We do have Lucas and Maribel on this banner. I'm surprised they didn't put Amir on here because Amir is actually one of Narja's best 4-star units to pair with, but we're probably going to get Amir on the 9 banner that drops in roughly 2 weeks. I think we have roughly 2 weeks left. Yeah, we have 11 days here, so just a little under 11 days left. So when this banner goes away, we're going to be getting 9 and most likely Amir on that banner too. But I think I said everything you needed to know about Narja. If we actually go to the partner and we go to Gaya over here real quick. So this partner, she is good, but would I recommend pulling for her? Absolutely not, unless you like went for E6 Narja or you just love Narja or you love Gaya's design. Like Gaia has a fire design, do not get me wrong. I think Gaia should have been an actual unit instead of a partner, but you mainly want to stack defense percentage on Narja, and Max Dupe Alyssa, the 4-star partner, gives more defense percentage than E0 Gaia. So technically speaking, if you're just going after defense percentage, Max Dupe 4-star partner Alyssa is gonna be better than E0 Gaia. But E0 Gaia also gives a ton more utility than Alyssa, because if we read what Gaia actually does here, so of course it increases the defense by 8%, but you get plus 20% defense based damage amount to the assigned combatant's instinct cards, and Narja's instinct of course. And then when using a unique attack card of the assigned combatant with an original cost of 6, plus 20% to damage amount of all allies. So that's an ally damage buff, plus you get extra damage on Narja's instinct cards. And then guys, ego skill is 60% defense based damage times 4, and you draw 1 attack cards of Narja. So just based off of reading that, you might think Gaia is really good, which she is for Narja, but that is the problem. Gaia can only be used on Narja and nobody else. Not until we get another controller in the future that scales off a defense and has a unique attack card with the original cost of 6. And if they don't have an original cost of 6 unique attack card, I guess they could still use this for the first 2 buffs, but you'd be losing out on some value of the partner of this last buff it gives. And that is mainly why I do not recommend pulling partners unless it is a universal one like Pekko. When we had the Sereniel banner, Pekko can be used on any hunter. Pekko can be used on Renoa, Luke, Sereniel, multiple different units. But if we take a look at Haru's, Yuki's, Chizuru's, Narja's, their dedicated partners, it's specifically made for them. You're spending summons that you could have used on getting a new unit on a gated partner that can only be used on 1 unit, which if you're not free to play or you're a whale or you just love the character the partner is assigned to, then do not listen to me. But if you're trying to be strategic and get the most value out of your pulls, definitely would not recommend partners unless in the future they change it to where a partner is more universal and not just for that specific unit. But yeah, I think that's everything you need to know about Gaya and Narja, their banners. I think that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If this video was informative, I'd very much appreciate it if you could like, comment, and subscribe. Any support on the channel is very much appreciated. But until then, I hope you take care, peace, and be safe.